It's California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerantz. We are in Sacramento today. We are joined by James Gallagher. He is a member of the California State Assembly, representing significant portions of North State, and a new member of the state legislature. I wanted to ask you, sir, how is your new job? You had been a member of the Board of Supervisors in beautiful Sutter County. You now come to Sacramento. How's it going?
Well, it's definitely been an adjustment. Having been on the County Board of Supervisors, I had 4 other colleagues. Now I have 79 other colleagues.
And how large is Sutter County? How many residents?
About 95,000 people in
So
Sutter
you
County.
represented, let's say, about 12, 15,000 on the Board of Supervisors. Now you represent about 500,000.
That's right. So
A little bigger area.
So a lot more constituents.
Right.
Issues, because the counties that I represent are very similar, rural counties in Northern California. A lot of similar issues that I dealt with as a county supervisor, but certainly coming into Sacramento, different environment.
But how do you represent such a large geographic area? Even though you and an assembly member from Los Angeles represent the same number of people, for them, driving from one quarter of the district to another could be 10 miles.
Yeah.
For you, it could take 10 hours. I mean, I may be exaggerating, but maybe not much.
There's definitely, well, it's not 10 hours,
Right.
but, definitely there's a lot of drive time
Right.
with this district. I cover 6 counties running from, down in South Sutter County up to Red Bluff and Tehama County. So, definitely spend some time on the road. And, I think it's different in each district, but the bottom line is the same. You're trying to make sure you get out there and meet with constituents, understand the issues.
And I want to talk about your constituents because so many Californians are concerned about our friends in North State, our friends in the Central Valley who are being so dramatically impacted by the drought. I have had the good fortune to visit Redding, for example, and I went to Lake Shasta, and I actually got spooked because the lake almost looked lunar given how low the water was. I understand it's come up a bit, but so many farming interests in your communities. How are y'all doing?
Well, it's definitely been tough. We're in our 4th year of drought now. There's been, some pretty drastic cutbacks starting last year with our agricultural water. Some districts getting cut back 25% of their usual water allotment, but I have some districts in my area that have been cut back to 0. The TC Canal over on the west side of the valley was actually cut to 0 last year, and that was
that
a
through
very
the state
tough
water project or the federal project?
It's a federal water, and so they were having to find ways to get water. People were paying upwards of $500 an acre foot to get water to help water their trees.
Were they going groundwater?
No, it actually purchased surface water, and certainly other people drilling wells to help support that as well.
We mention ag, and as you know, the governor recently instituted mandatory restrictions, 25% reduction based upon 2013 levels. But as it relates to ag, those restrictions do not apply. And so to the extent I've heard some rumblings about the restrictions, there's been some frustration. Folks have said, well, wait a second, ag uses 80% of the water, and you're asking us to cut by 25%. You're not asking ag to do that.
Yeah.
Talk to us about, I'm sure you've heard that as well. How should I respond, when I'm at a cocktail party tonight?
Well, this is really important for people to understand. And the first thing that people need to understand is that ag has already had mandatory cutbacks, and that started last year with many districts getting 25%. My own family's water district, where we farm, it got cut back 50% essentially on our surface water. So many, I would say throughout California, agriculturalists have been mandatory cutbacks in excess of 25%. So we've already been doing that even before this year. This year, there's going to be even more drastic cutbacks to agriculture surface water. So in a way, ag's already, in a large part, ag has already done a whole lot more than urban users in terms of saving water.
And let's talk about surface water. Because in the final analysis, we need a healthy mix of groundwater and surface water. But you talk about Lake Shasta, as I did, and I could see that the levels were incredibly low. Some folks have been frustrated because during dramatic rains, we're not capturing the water. So while Lake Shasta may be empty now, if all of a sudden we hit a rainy season, we don't have enough places to store it.
Yeah.
Well, we've come to a place in California where there is some bipartisan consensus that we need more storage, more surface storage. There was a bond passed to create more surface storage. It won't help us today. We can't build the dams quickly enough or the storage quickly enough. But where are we on that issue of surface storage?
Well, that's exactly where we need to go, and we're all doing our part. And I think everybody needs to know that agriculture, urban, we're all doing our part to conserve water during these drought times. But the thing that we need to do in the long term is invest in new water storage.
Sure.
And so there's 2 projects out there that a lot of people look to as projects that could really increase our storage capacity, and that's Sites Reservoir over in Colusa County in my district, in Temperance Flat down in the Central Valley.
Sure.
There's a great historic opportunity with the passage of the water bond in November, $2.7 billion that are available now to help build these water storage
Just for
projects.
storage.
It's just for storage.
$7.5 billion overall, but more, about a third dedicated to storage.
Yeah, and so our message has been, hey, we need to get these projects done, and we need to get them done as soon as possible.
Here's the challenge, though. When you have a project of that magnitude, you need lots of approvals. And, Californians do pride themselves in being a green state, dem or REAP.
Yeah.
There is a sense that we want to protect our beautiful coasts, our beautiful mountains. At the same time, though, some do feel as if that a provision known as the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, has been used as a weapon, as a way to prevent development. We've seen some CEQA exemptions for football fields, but what about a CEQA exemption for storage? Is that something that's in the offing?
It definitely is, and it's something I've been working on. In fact, I have legislation, AB 311,
Who knew?
that I proposed in the legislature, and it would do exactly that. For water storage projects, it would provide a CEQA streamlining. Now, it doesn't get around the process. You still would have to follow a CEQA process, but it streamlines the litigation that sometimes occurs with CEQA projects.
Does it send it right to the Supreme Court or speed up the
trial
court level?
It provides for a streamlined process in the trial court level that says these things would get resolved within 270 days.
I have seen proposals like that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, have you spoken with your friends on the Democratic side, given that you're currently in the minority party? I would presume that there could be some interest by both parties on this. Where are we on this?
Absolutely, and we have done that before. Where you've seen it is the Sacramento Kings Arena right here locally. We did exactly that to help get that project off the ground and running. And I'd come in here and drive by it every day. It's nice to see that project moving. But it'd be nice for us to do the same thing
for Sites or Temperance Flat
with these storage projects. So I have been talking with my Democratic colleagues. Unfortunately, in the first policy committee, it was killed on a partisan vote. I'm not giving up on that, and I'm still having those discussions. And I'm hopeful that my colleagues will see the merit, and as I think a lot of Californians see the merit in streamlining these projects to make sure we're not in this situation again.
By far, I'm not a strategist or a tactician, but there is a strategy known as triangulation, and we've heard Governor Brown say he wants to see CEQA reformed.
Yeah.
So could you call the governor and say, "Hey, it's James Gallagher here, 82. I have this idea for CEQA reform. Want to help me out?"
No, I'm not. I'm definitely not opposed to doing that. The governor doesn't always give me a call.
But honestly, there's lots of different ways to. Can I say skin a cat? Is that an appropriate cliche? But a lot of different ways to look at this.
No, and that is a big thing that I'm trying to do is just try to have some reasonable civil discussions with people on all sides of the issue. And to me, this is just a no-brainer. This is something that everybody can get on board with. Is we know that we're in this drought. We want to make sure that we're not back in this kind of dire situation in the future. So let's get those projects off the ground right now, and let's do everything we can to make sure the storage gets built as soon as possible.
Terrific. His name is James Gallagher. He is a member of the California State Assembly representing significant portions of beautiful North State, Umbride, Palmerston, Sacramento. It's California Edition.